Okay, so you have probably heard the word patent before in one form or the other, and I'm doing this video to give, or rather to give an explanation of what a patent is, how to acquire a patent, and another, some alternatives that you can get as opposed to a patent. So I'll tailor the videos towards companies in tech, but also companies in a wide variety of industries as well. So what a patent is an intellectual property protection that extends to something, or rather an invention that you make that meets the criteria of being new, new stroke novel. It's something that's also a step forward, into an inventive step for mankind. And thirdly, it is something that you can use. So there's a term that we say it's called industrially applicable. So for you to acquire a patent, whatever you're trying to patent has to be, number one, has to be new, completely new. No one else should have thought about something similar. Number two, it should be an inventive step, so it means it should be something that's a step ahead, so it shouldn't be retrogressive, but something that you are pointing humanity forward. And then thirdly, should also be industrially applicable, so it's not suited for purely theoretical inventions. It should be something that, if utilized, has some value that it adds to society as a whole. So that's what a patent is. So, and that's the criteria. So there are different kinds of patents you can get, and you can get a local patent. So a local patent is a patent that is locally registered. So if you're in Kenya, locally registered in Kenya. You can also get a patent under a RIPO. So a RIPO is a continental treaty that also regulates the world of patents. But so that I don't digress too much into detail, you can also get a patent that is recognized in multiple African countries who are signatories to that RIPO, to a RIPO. And then you can also get an international patent, which means it's a patent recognized all over the world through WIPO. So you can make an application to have your patent registered through WIPO. And often you can still, a lot of those applications, you can still make them locally at KIPI, and depending on the different degrees. So you can make an application for a patent, a local patent at KIPI. You can make an application under RIPO at KIPI, and you can also make an application under WIPO at KIPI. So that's ideally what a patent is. Then the other thing I wanted to tie into patents that's a bit related, there's something else called a utility model. So a utility model is a different type of intellectual property protection that extends to an invention that is not necessarily completely new, but it is an invention, it's a step forward. So it's still an increase, or rather a step ahead in a particular area. So let me use an example. Many of you may not know, but M-Pesa is patented, or rather the idea behind M-Pesa was patented by someone else beyond, not the company, but I don't want to digress into that idea. So let's assume M-Pesa, the system owned by Safaricom, has been patented. So at that point, or rather, let's assume Safaricom wants to protect M-Pesa as a system, the means of making payments through mobile and whatnot, and they describe it adequately. They can get a patent for M-Pesa, because ideally, especially if you're talking about them in 2007 or thereabouts, it was, or those times, it was completely new, and they will have been able to secure a patent for that particular device. The same way someone got a patent for something, I think it's a company called Mobicash, something similar to M-Pesa. Beyond now the patent, and so to give you an example, so that will be a patent. Then if you're talking about an utility model, which is something closer to it's an alternative to a patent, you'll be talking about something like Lipa na M-Pesa. So if M-Pesa is a patent, Lipa na M-Pesa is a utility model, because Lipa na M-Pesa is an incremental step to the patent product that is M-Pesa. So M-Pesa is a mechanism for you to send money through mobile networks and whatnot, and then Lipa M-Pesa is an add-on that. So beyond sending money, you can be able to pay a bill. So M-Pesa becomes a form of a patent, then utility. Then Lipa M-Pesa becomes a type of utility model. So that are the two specific types of patents the variations of how you can get a patent. Utility model is the criteria, as I mentioned, is a bit less strict. But also its period of protection is a bit shorter. In terms of, depending on the country you're in, the period of protection is shorter for utility model as opposed to a patent. And that's, I think, the core idea of what patents are. So when you're doing whichever, both utility models and patents, when you're drafting them, there is a way you need to formulate your draft. You need to describe the invention that you're making. You need to have explicit drawings of what exactly it does. You need to describe the technical background, and then you need to make the key thing around it. You need to make specific claims that relate to your product or your invention, and you need to make their claims called dependent and independent claims. So that I also don't go too deep into that. It's an idea, but you need to make claims. And what a claim is, what you're trying to get protected. So if it's M-Pesa, let me use the example of M-Pesa. So you're saying a system that allows one person to send money to another person by through a mobile network, something along those lines, and a messaging system. So that will be the claim, and you try and seek protection under that. So ideally, that's what a patent is, that's what a utility model is, that is how that's the different ways you can get it. That's the whole idea of what those two are. So yeah, thank you for listening. So my name is Meshak Masibo. I am a lawyer who specializes in offering legal services to technology, and I'm also a patent agent, and will be happy to have any conversation with anyone who has an interest in getting a patent registered. Thanks.